Okay, here we will be addressing dynamic bones and colliders. So you can acquire the dynamic bone asset from the asset store of Unity. Type in dynamic bone. Oh snap! There it is. It costs 500,000 Reichsmarks, or for you English plebs, $20. Sometimes it's $15. Sometimes it's $10. It just depends on when it goes on sale. Buy it at your discretion. Point is, once you get it downloaded and imported, go back to scene, open up your model, open up the armature, go to hips. We'll be addressing the three key areas people want dynamic, so the skirt, the chest, and the hair. Go to add component, type in DYN, dynamic bone will pop up. Very nice, click that. Change the update rate to 90 because that is the maximum refresh rate of headsets at the moment. Drag and drop the hips to the root because that's what you want to be dynamic. Damping affects how quickly the oscillations of the bone damp out to 0. The elasticity affects the rotational freedom of each of the bones. The higher the elasticity, the less rotational freedom they have. Stiffness, it's redundant as far as I can tell. Inertia determines how much force is required to begin the motion of a bone. The higher the inertia, the more force is required. These standards that I found to be the best from other people is 0.5, 0.9. Of course, you can play around with the elasticity a bit, the damping a bit, the inertia a bit to get the exact effect that you want, but those work very nicely for standard. Okay, you can open up the hips and go up the spine, go to the chest. Go to add components, dynamic bone, 90, drag and drop the chest, change this to 0.5, rinse and repeat this nonsense. Open up the chest, go down to neck, click on head, apply the dynamic bone, 90, drag and drop the head. Again, rinse and repeat. Now we will address exclusions, so go back to the hips. We want the skirt to move, nothing else. So we do not want this, so 1, 2, maybe we want that, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we want an exclusion size of 12. And just drag and drop each of these bones into each of the elements for the exclusion until you have mapped all of the exclusions. It's tedious, I know, but life's hard, so whatever. And spine. Wonderful. Go to chest. Same thing. I believe the LE bones are for the ribbon and for the shirt pieces, so we want those to move. So we do not want the shoulder, the neck, or the shoulder to move. So we want 3 exclusions. So shoulder, neck, and shoulder. Okay, go to the head. Open that up. We want only the hair to move, so we do not want the eyes to move. So that is a total of 4 exclusions. 4. And map all those to there. Like so. Splendid. Go ahead, go back up to here, select the main of the model, go to play. Go to scene. Ooh, look at that sexy sway action. Let me see. There's a little bit of clipping in the legs. I'll show you how to avoid that, at least mitigate it. Go ahead and unpause that. Note: do not change your dynamic bone settings while in play mode. For instance, you're over there, you go to hips, you're like, oh, I saw that effect wasn't as good as I liked, and you change it here. don't do that. When you press undo the play button, it undoes everything you did. So do all of your editing when it's not playing. Okay, so we're going to go back to hips, and we're going to add some colliders. So in this case, we want the collider to be on the hips to prevent the skirt from clipping into the legs. So go to Add Component, go to Dynamic Bone Collider. So that's the radius of the sphere, that's the collider. Sometimes you can bound the collider to be an inside, so inside the radius of the sphere, sometimes outside. Primarily you want outside. So I'm going to drop this down to 0.01. That's kind of small. Let's do 4, 5, 4, 3, 4. Yeah. You want it to just barely clip the surface of the skirt. And then, in order to make the collider affect the dynamic bones, you need to account for the collider. So we only have one collider at the moment. Go ahead, drag the hips into the element 0, since that is where the collider is applied. Go ahead and go to Play, Scene. Oh, yeah, go to the main of the model. A bit better. You see there's not nearly as much clipping with the same amount of acceleration. You can, of course, make the sphere bigger to get a better effect, but yeah, the point is you can mitigate clipping into your legs. Unpause that. Now we're going to apply colliders to our fingers. So if you're in VR, you can touch yourself and all that jazz. So we're gonna minimize the neck. Go to the right shoulder, right arm, right elbow, and right wrist. I have found it is best to place the collider on the index finger, the root of the index finger, just after the right wrist. So you want to go to Add Component, you want to go to Dynamic Bone Collider. You want to make this 0.01 maybe. Maybe 0.9. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. The point is, you want the radius of the collider sphere to be just at the tip of your middle finger. That's what I found to be the best. So it has the best effect when your hand comes close to a dynamic bone. Now, in order to have that collider affect the dynamic bones, you need to apply the collider to all 3 of the dynamic bone components. So back to the hips, we have an additional component, additional collider. So we want 2 colliders to affect it. So drag the index finger 1 to element 1. Okay, amazing. The chest, we have a collider for it to be affected by. Again, the index finger. And same thing with the head. 1. And then drag and drop the index finger. And then do the same thing for the left hand. Add an additional collider for the index finger 1L for the left. That is essentially it. You're good to roll, my man. I mean, of course, play around with your settings here. Get it just perfect. You don't want things flailing everywhere. But that is all.